Hello again! Or maybe this is your first time. Whichever the case, as explained last time, I'm here to... Did you hear something? To make a video about... Sorry about that, folks. So yes, this video is about Friend, a semi-sequel to my previous video analyzing the recent trailer. I know I'm really cutting it close here with the chapter release date just around the corner, and whatever Toby's next newsletter is about. Oh, right. I took too long and now the sweepstakes has been updated. Now with new information, very important to this topic, and a lot else that I can barely process. I will now make the necessary edits. It looks as though I'm not the only one releasing important stuff at the 11th hour. Of course, mere weeks from when this will hit YouTube, I'm sure some parts of this may age poorly. Disregarding such a case, this may act as a time capsule of sorts, showing what I and others thought of this entity, all to the point where it's walking up to our front door to talk about our Lord and Savior W.D. Gaster. Let's not keep it waiting. We're first introduced to Friend in Queen's basement in Chapter 2. In the room with the teacups on the starting platform, walking to the ledge and running back to the other side, then back again, we can see that a big, poorly illustrated face with Spamton's eye colors spawns in the darkness, just staring at Chris. Once you have even a chance to notice it's there, it just fades away with no indication that it had any presence there to begin with. In other words, it's like a Cheshire cat. If it also had teeth, that would give a dentist nightmares. Within the events of Chapter 2, that is all that happens with this entity. And yes, we can very safely say that this isn't Spamton, though it is still of some relation to him. I'm not blind. To start, I've heard people say that this is just Chris hallucinating Spamton because they're scared. Beyond all the other reasons I'm about to say, I'm quite disappointed that there are people saying this, which implies they are selectively forgetting an important detail, to which I will remind y'all. The player is not Chris. Moving on, Spamton cannot astral project, fly, nor teleport, and even if he could, it would completely invalidate his reason for putting Chris on this mission, now wouldn't it? Spamton does not have a curved smile or differentiated teeth. Spamton is not poorly drawn. And then, probably the most important discrepancy is something that I'm now using as a segue. Friend's files. In no regard is Friend construed as being Spamton in the game's files. In fact, the files make it unmistakable that they are as far away from being such a thing as possible. How? Well, if we take a look, we see not only that, but also what the hubbub with Friend is about, and why it's called that. Its sprite is image_friend, and its object is device_friend. Yes, Friend is a program entity, just like the vessel, and the other assets like those of the title screen, game over, and more, including the game itself. Thus, as we understand it, it also has a direct tie to Gaster. And to make this even more clear, Spamton and everything nominally associated with him have nothing of the sort. I suppose that in this case, you don't have to fear the safety of your wallet, since we're not dealing with Spamton anymore. Instead, you can give that Chromer to me on my Patreon. Please. Even more concerning as of right now, Friend is the one and only exception to the rule of the program assets usage, in that it is not only appearing in universe, but is currently exclusive to it. If its spawning, location, and physical appearance wasn't enough, now I think y'all should understand why Friend instills both fear in me and immense intrigue. For the last bit of confirmed Chapter 2 stuff, we have something unused. Not that unused, but they are both program assets, and you'll hear about them again. Onward, there are unused objects in Chapter 2's files that were supposed to be used for Burley's first fight, being two barriers on the tracks. Though given their appearance, they were clearly cut well before finalization. Anyway, one is a barrier with a Q graffitied on it, meant to refer to Queen, and the other depicts Friend. And yes, don't let the rough artistry fool you, this certainly is Friend. Notice the curved smile with individual teeth. Looks pretty much exactly the same, funnily enough, albeit smaller. Friend already looks the part of a placeholder sprite, so that's probably something, even if the barrier itself is likely meaningless. This next segment was supposed to be about the chair, which we'll still get to, but I think this brand new info needs priority right now. In one of the pages on the updated Spamton sweepstakes, being the egg page in Noelle's blog, called Rain. On an extremely rainy day, the mayor called off school, which allowed a little Noelle to play Cat Petter's minigames, including one with a jumbled name that she can't remember. It consisted of an endless cave of dancing cats of varying rarities and point yields, including one that lowers points and kills you. Apparently, Noelle believes Chris, who we see has Cat Petter's RPG, knows something about this obscure cat. Also, through that RPG, Cat Petters and Dragon Blazers are confirmed to be directly connected now, which, with other implications, is kinda unnerving. But you know what's more unnerving? You can actually play the minigame yourself. clicking on a bunch of green cats sliding along the black screen, giving you points as you go. Just as Noel listed, there's a normal, a blue aura, rock and roll, angel wing, and super holy angel wing. The last two leading to some church stuff, which then also leads to stuff about the man. But back to the minigame. Noel said that there was a destructive 6th cat, which is not wrong. It's seemingly random, but eventually such a cat will spawn into... A very familiar face gives you a jump scare, reducing the score to 0, spouting a now familiar laugh, with an also now familiar behavior of sending you back to the base sweepstakes page. As it would turn out, Friend is the ultra rare cat. This was already very strongly implied by the trailer and screenshot, but now it's just outright confirmed. Kitty. And Noelle countering it in a game, all by herself, is something that seems to only happen with Gaster stuff, and this just further affirms that. Specifically, the sprite in the site is called Cat-009. Don't know why some of the other cats go unused, or why one of Friend's eyes is now magenta instead of just straight pink, but disregarding that, it's otherwise the same. Bam! Friend RNG cat confirmed. And seems to have a thing for minigames, as also seen in the trailer. I was even going to have a segment saying, oh, maybe Friend has something to do with cat petters, since it seemed to have do with cats for some reason. But now, that'd just be redundant. Still can't confidently parse what's up with the name and Spamton connection though you will hear about this again. Something else that's now redundant, albeit only partially, is how I had the chair segment. With the confirmation given to us now via the new minigame, I'm just going to keep this brief. On the secret page with the set of Chris's Dark World dressers, the 15th one has a black and pale blue chair with a cloth draped over it, this being on its own page. It starts out with the header of, but what if it could? But when you click on the chair, making it babble and warp, emanating a distorted water sound, it now reads, gets darker than dark. Reading in full, but what if it could get darker than dark? Going back breaks the secret page, but has a unique header, meaning it's intentional. For how this relates to Friend, similarly to the new Cat Petters minigame, if you keep clicking on the chair, this eventually happens. Same sort of jump scare, force boot, and laugh, now with simplified eyes, albeit with their original coloration, as well as a gap underneath them to fit a smile. Originally there was still debate on whether or not this was truly Friend. That one didn't work out too well, especially with the then novel laugh and quasi-vague file names, but thanks to the rare cat page, it's now officially confirmed. There you go. Final thing is that, while the headers are almost certainly referring to entry number 17, they seem to also be referencing AVGN, which is actually important for later. I'll get to the potential meaning of that and the chair in general, but that's all for now. Now's the time we get into the theoreticals proper. If it turns out I say anything erroneously, you can just make fun of me in the comments. You know, in the future. Starting from chapter 2 with Spamton's shop, there are two interesting things we can talk about with him. Talking to Spamton about friends, being after his night freakout, it not only has him allude to Tenna, but also has his iconic name drop of Mike. You may see why I point this out due to the dialogue's title, but that's not all. The summer face with static eyes here that Spamton makes is made elsewhere in the shop, albeit only once more. It's the one about fear where he channels unused. And yes, this is unused. The English version paraphrases, but the Japanese version is much more explicit. Unused is not only trying to call out for Chris, or the player, from an absolutely dark place, but is also a program entity. You know who else is a program entity? Friend. From this, yes, I am suggesting that Friend may be the elusive Mike who became a program entity like Unused, or at least Friend being of close relation to Mike. We know Spamton liked Mike and that Tenna's crew is searching for him, although apparently in vain. I'm sticking to this broad stroke here, which we'll see ourselves soon if it proves itself to be true. And if it is true, we might know what's causing that scratching noise now. Hang tight, Des, if that is you down there. Now for what I can say about Chapter 3. Within the Spamton sweepstakes, besides the chair, there is another page or set of pages that may have to do with Friend, though this one is more reliant on the Mike link. The Damn You Tenna page, where we get the proper name drop of Tenna, as well as Mike's name in black text at the end. This then leads into the static page, where we're apparently early for and forgetting something, then to the Ice Palace blog post. I'm thinking that, however the Ice Palace manifests into the Dark World, it might have something to do with Friend. I've got two major bases for this, being the AVGN reference and an emergent page. Starting with the former, it's the nerd, when referring to Haunted House, who says, "Darker than dark," when talking about the square-eyed protagonist in a grid-shaped maze-like area, similar to both the friend eyes from that page and how the palace is described. As for the new page, it's found in the Green Room shop in RAM called Romb. To keep things short, just know that this definitely has to do with the secret boss, a character talking about the Shadow Crystal and hinting the need of the Shadow Mantle and luck, has yet another reference in the form of another quote, which may pertain to both the boss itself and the Ice Palace layout again, and a new sound effect, and it leads into huge implications of whatever Chapter 3's weird route is supposed to be, and more. But for now, we just gotta find the key. Putting a lot of strange stuff together, you may ask, who is next? You may ask, who will be? Who will be the secret boss of Adventure No. 3? I'd say it's Friend, or someone in tandem with Friend. Could go full Friend inside me and possess a host, referring to the "you can never beat us," kind of like an inverse of Spanton's situation. With Chris's copy of Capitter's RPG in their room, which we now know is like a ripoff of Dragon Blazers, thanks Noelle, this not only is where the green room is, but this also has the save file to pen and drawer contents of Azrael's side, and the Castletown version of this room is where the dresser in Secret comes from, more or less matching the chair's coloration. And with the darkness, I have been a proud proponent of the chair's cloth being the Shadow Mantle, now only emboldened by it by the new pages, which we must retrieve in Chapter 3 to use soon after. There's also strong potential in this climax happening in Castletown, in the supposedly small minigame room, which is also quite similar to something I've expected for years now, albeit ironically for the wrong reasons until about a month ago. Regardless, with Friend being what it is, and the Shadow Mantle evidently being what it is, both having ties to Deltarune's most dark and meta aspects. With how meta-natured and meta-aware characters tend to be in this series, get ready for one fuck-ass fight. While I've been talking Friend up all this time, and including the new details, I must confess. This sweepstakes update is invaluable for hype and anticipation, but also kinda made my views on a couple things implode. I did my best to cover what I could on Friend's new details, but more so in extensions to what I already thought. Now, however, it's more apparent that Friend actually is rather tautly tied to the man, which in himself ties to even more than what I thought on top of that. The definitive Capitter's link, the angel cats, the windows, lost where the forest would grow, roots, aren't you forgetting something? Chapter 4! Okay. Honestly, I don't know what to make of any of this concerning Friend right now, beyond some really spontaneous takes like Friend is somehow the man, or Friend is what hatches from the eggs. As far as our heterochromatic cat goes, I have got nothing else to say about this. My brain is soup. But maybe I do have one more thing to share. Naturally, we're going to largely keep referring to it as Friend until June 4th, or I suppose now also Cat 9, but I do propose something new. If Friend isn't Mike himself, I was thinking, what if Friend is Pluie? I'm serious. Well, now I'm serious. Again, in the original version of this video, I was going to do a funny bit after my end card, which would be like, oh guys, Toby's not watching this far in. Friend is Pluie, and then get dog checked in the face as the video cuts. But now, with the torrential rain, with rain being what Pluie means in French, and all the connections darkness has to water aesthetically, especially with the depths, if, being a program entity, Friend either hails directly from the depths or was subsumed by it having a name based in water would not be unfitting for such a creature. Or the Lives UI is an annoying cat, with the usual dog having its own program rooms of dog check, and having relations to the man. Just imagine, all the jokes and Pluie's been hiding under our noses all along. We'll have to wait and see if there's any truth to this, you know, when we get Pluie. For free. This thing, this goddamn face with a broken, shit-eating grin, has caused lots of trouble for me, making me put together a video that I thought was going to be shorter than the trailer video. But hey, that's the kind of thing we're dealing with here. Where Friend lacks in almost any answers, it makes up for it in teases to connections and loose ends that will eventually lead to those answers. And I hope I was able to help y'all see what Friend was all about right now, barely leaving with any answers, but more so with more questions. Now you know what all the fuss is about at least, and why we ought to hyperventilate when we see a chair in our video game. Just be prepared for anything. I hope y'all stick around, as I have a plan for when the chapters drop. And I can barely wait.